Okay, so I said I was doing an extra video. This is for the smell sense of when you feel stressed out or you have a problem. I came to the understandings of this, also everything from years and stuff that happened that passed by through time, and I came across some things. This year has been a very um, overwhelming year for me as far as knowledge has been concerned, spiritually, mentally, physically, everything, all the above. But I took some distance away from the people that I knew, people that I loved. Sometimes when I would feel stressed out or I felt like there was something, um, an evil presence either coming or going, or if I would see some confusion every once in a while, I know God is not like that, so I know it doesn't come from Him. And then I wanted to know where these things were coming from my end, my children, somebody I come in contact with, which I've been keeping track over the years. But this year I've had an extra understanding. Well, this year I had some issues with some things that were bothering my children, my youngest actually, to be exact. And that kind of really threw me off a little bit because she's very, very young. Not even enough to hold, I mean, just young, okay? And so I came into a lot of knowledge of things. And this is the thing, these things were happening before I came in knowledge of these things. So then when I got some knowledge of it, it helped me help them. It got to the point where it's like this. If you have I know I say demonic is demonic presence, and it's not something that you should be afraid of because they're not powerful enough to take your life automatically. But there is ways to sense them and to get them to stop. And it's not just the demonic presence, but it's the demonic presence that's going on around the world that's causing a lot of these things, the technology and stuff that are the way they are. With which is whether it's between the chemicals in the air or in the chemicals in the food we eat, they're all connected as the same presence doing it, but in human form. This is the thing. This is what helps take the stress away. This is an automatic thing that I do. Like if I feel like I'm stressed out, or let's say my child, she had some problems sleeping, and I did this. I didn't want to do this because, the thing is, I didn't want anything to bother her, but I couldn't. I prayed and prayed over her. And it's not that God wasn't taking care of the prayers, because He was showing me things. He let me see that there was something wrong when I never noticed it really before. So it was something that was very important, and He did show me in His time, in His perfect timing. I know my daughter is safe, nothing happened, but she was a little scared. Sometimes she would get up from her sleep. So um, sometimes I would get up and I would feel her. It's a lot more complicated than I say. I really can't go into the complicated details because a lot of people's it might be a lot of knowledge for some. So I'll just keep it simple and basic because I just want to help with the instant stress relief. I just know that if you want to get to finding out, read the Holy Scripture and things will start to open up for you. It just takes some time, sometimes years, because you have to keep track of what's going on. And slowly but surely, your mind will start freeing up space and time for those memories to form enough for you to be able um, to grasp everything. Okay, so she was sleeping, like I said, and she would was kind of scared, but I would see her moving. She would move a certain way, and I knew more or less what kind of dream she was having. Okay, so when she had these things, I maybe about 3 months ago. I mean, I flew out of country. I had a few. It started when I went out of country. I had some issues that I really noticed. But what I did, I didn't do it when I was out of country. I did it when I came back home because it took me a while to kind of really grasp everything. But what I did is while she was sleeping, and I could tell she was going to wake up. It doesn't happen that often. So don't scare me. I think it just happened often enough for me to catch it. And so what I did was I grabbed some tissue and then I sprayed my perfume, which is same one I've worn for maybe like 20, 25 years. Same perfume. If you see me, you smell me, like, oh, you smell like you. I smell the same. Um, I wear different things, but I keep one. So what I did was I grabbed a tissue like this, and I got my perfume. This won't be it, okay? Because I don't want to really. It's not a secret, but it's my signature. So this is not it though. So what I did, I sprayed it on the tissue, right, and then I held it under her nose. I would say for about a minute, or while she moved around until I made sure it didn't touch her, so it wouldn't cause her to move around, but it did get her to stop and go back to sleep. And never ever since then have I had a problem with her as far as that. Now, this is not just something that is just for her. This is something that if you feel stressed out, if something's bothering you, if something, either whether it's an urge, if it's something that's confusing, whether it's an urge of thinking too much, whether you're super hungry, whether you're sexual temptations, whether it's anything, any kind of stress or any kind of thing, just get the tissue. This is what I had to do because I, I do a lot of stuff sometimes, and I get so busy I don't have time to do that. I do a lot of studies, so um, and sometimes senses come over me, and I know it's not me. I'm like, that's not me. I'm literally doing some studies or something like that. For that sense just to come over me that strong, it's definitely something else that's trying to communicate coming in, whether it's through the electronics or whatever it is that I'm doing that's sending out that signal, or whatever that goes out there and communicates, sending out that signal. Mommy. It's not. Yes, baby. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, let me finish. I'll be there in a minute. Okay. Hold it for me. Thank you so much. Um, like I said, I know it's not coming from me. So when I get those signals, same thing. I just get the perfume spray, and it's kind of strong one, so I really don't want to do this right now, but I'm going to do it. So I usually like my light one that smells like me. And I put it in my nose in here. I could hold it in my nose for a minute, but when I'm working and doing something, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to send that scent into my nose. Oh God. Let me see if I can get that out. I'm sorry. So I'm going to leave that in there for about a minute, right? You leave that in there for about a minute, sometimes 2 minutes, 3, 4, I don't know, however long it takes you. And what you don't want to do is just sit there. You want to keep busy, move around, do something. It will clear your mind. And this, scientists, a lot of other people will say it's something about, they won't tell you the truth, because if they're doing some kind of experiment, you're never going to know. I'm telling you, it's a different kind of presence. But also, you got to remember that our brain, our brain has memories of smells from our childhood and from everything. And what you really want to do is grab something more natural, because if you get something from the plants get the energy from the sun, and then we use those plants as fragrances or whatever. If you do have plants or flowers and you can smell something off of them, that would be actually better to do something more natural. But if it's kind of a situation where it's last minute and it's kind of hectic, you could grab perfume bottle or anything. It does a trick. What it does is that your mind is connected to all these smell memories, and it automatically picks up on it. Picks up, so it'll pull you away from whatever is signaling you, and it'll pull you to a different it'll just calm you down. And it's, some smells might attract you the wrong way. So you might want to, I haven't had a problem with, as far as using this or anything else, I haven't had to use different kind of smells because I had a problem with one. But if you find one, if you have a childhood memory or something you smell or you like, it is very significant. This is why I just did a reading on Exodus 30, which was the incense of the altar. But this is why I said it's important. The incense, God always said that, you burn them in the night, burn them in the day. Whenever the sacrifice offerings were burned, it smelled a special aroma that was pleasing to him. And this is the same thing. This is why this goes to a massive amount of studies from my study, biology, chemistry, you name it, from all of that to ancient studies of seeing all the ancient sculptures, the Sphinx, the Mayan ruins. When I went out there, that's when I went out of town in March, just to see those missing the nose. It kind of really lets you know that there is another presence that's been around since centuries back. If you go back to the Greek era, and you look at all the statues there, most of, let's say 80% of the statues are missing their nose. And it's for the same reason. And I'm still studying, and I don't know. It's because so far I have an extra sense that I got in my nose. Of course, I could smell certain presences. So it's an extra sense that I got this year. And I am working on it because I know that certain things clog it up. And it makes it a little bit harder, but I can still tell I have a certain way I have to breathe. And I also got a lot of this from when I traveled because of a certain thing that, when you go on a plane and your ears pop. Well, if you hold your ears and you breathe out only through your nose, you wouldn't even feel that sensation at all. And there was I do a lot of studies, so I research a lot of things. But anyways, what I was trying to say is, in the ancient times, this happened in the ancients and the histories, and you see all the sculptures missing these things. They're not just happen to be so. It's not something for us to randomly overlook. These things are there for a reason. There's a smell sense that's going to eventually come over us. I don't know if it's because of the way we act as human beings that we fall out of God's will, and these things come over us. And we're it's so sad because I think we're coming down to the count of the last of our civilization from the way things are. And I could imagine the Abraham Statue of Liberty, or just with the nose knocked off and a couple other things, because that's what I believe is trying to control us in that sense. And we are too blind or to our own senses that we cannot even grasp these things because they're obvious. They're obvious. But it even took me a while, and it hit closer to home. God wanted to make sure I paid enough attention, and He showed me enough things along the way where it didn't happen before I went on the trip. These are things that happened. They happened before I went on a trip. But I didn't realize what they were till after, and a couple things. But I'll leave it at that. And I've already probably said too much because there's a lot more that I know. Not too much and not enough. But I hope this helps you out in any kind of way. And there is many other ways that things can help you. Like I said, when I say demonic presence, don't get scared. It could come. It doesn't mean it's directly. It doesn't come directly from you. It could come from somebody else or something else. You're not that powerful that you could create your own demon of that makes you do things. You're not that. You're not that great and wonderful. You were just born this last century. The demons have been around since the before creation. So don't get yourself so wound up in yourself. Okay, well, God bless, and hopefully this helps you out. And if anybody has any more questions, like I said in another video, feel free to comment. I will try to reply and work and share as much as possible. All right, thanks. God bless.